Welcome back, folks, to a brand new video.
Now, Scotland is celebrated for its deep and fascinating history, its beautiful castles and its striking mountains, and of course, don't forget those misty lochs. So I've put together a wonderful list for you to visit on your next holidays. So let's take a look at 25 beautiful places to visit in Scotland. Located in the picturesque Inner Hebrides in Scotland, the Isle of Mull is the complete package for tourists who love adventure and nature. You can visit the charming town of Tobermory, with its coloured houses and independent businesses, and explore miles of stunning coastline. But no matter what the Isle of Mull weather is like, you can experience the perfect island escape. To the west of Mull, there are some exciting discoveries to be made, such as the tiny enchanting Isle of Iona, which is a peaceful haven where you can discover one of Scotland's geological wonders on a boat trip to Staffa. Or visit the wonderful beach in Calgary on the Isle of Mull, which has one of the best beaches in Scotland. If it's nature that you want and stunning beaches, then the Isle of Mull should be on your list. Number 2. Cairngorm National Park. One of Scotland's 2 national parks, Cairngorm National Park sits within the country's northeast region. It's easily one of the best things to do in the Scottish Highlands. The park is a true mountain wilderness, home to 5 out of the 6 Scotland's highest peaks, and 4 out of the 10 of the highest in Britain. It also boasts some of the most beautiful lochs and rivers, native forests, farmland and moorland, as well as being a stronghold for Scotland's wildlife. There are miles upon miles of trails, and a wonderful choice of a destination to be on this list. Number 3. Bowfiddle Rock. Located just off the coast at Portlochie, Bowfiddle Rock is an incredible natural formation, formed by the sheer force of waves alone. Over time, the pressure of the waves in the North Sea have sculpted this popular landmark into its unique bow-shaped formation, which makes for a great photo opportunity. So this is a beautiful place to go on holiday for those of you who are keen explorers, kayakers, or even hikers. I suggest you spend the night in Cullen and then plan to capture this scene at sunset, and you will feel as if it's your own amphitheatre. Number 4. Shetland Islands. The Shetland Islands are irresistible, a blend of Scottish and Nordic cultures. It's set just outside the northernmost tip of the British Isles, hidden in the North Sea. The Shetland archipelago is Britain's most distant and its most starkly stunning clutch of islands, famous for its unspoiled beaches, diverse wildlife, and of course, the archaeological sites. So why would you visit? Well, there are very few places in the UK that feel as immediately Viking as Shetland, where the Norse-inspired place names give you that immediate sense of a long Scandinavian influence. The landscape provides pure geological and natural drama, so it's a place for real adventure. Number 5. Castle Stalker. 2 of the most fascinating and romantic things are either castles and islands. Now imagine a place that is a combination of both of those very things. That place is the 4-story tower called Castle Stalker. situated off the beautiful west coast of Scotland. This island's castle's picturesque placement, standing tall, is set against a dramatic backdrop of mountains, and it's made it into something of a cliché image of the Highlands. To be frankly honest, Castle Stalker is entirely authentic, and it's easily one of the best preserved medieval tower houses in Scotland. The view alone is just another reason why you would need to go to these must-see places in the Scottish Highlands. Loch Lomond. Located in southern Scotland, Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park offer visitors a combination of stunning scenery and picturesque villages. One of Scotland's best obsessions. It's the largest inland stretch of water in Britain, and one of Scotland's most idyllic and unspoilt areas. So take an unforgettable boat trip across the lake and enjoy the stunning views of the area called the Mini Highlands. There are several small islands within the loch which can be explored thanks to dedicated cruises as well as the Loch Lomond water bus ferry service. But I think you can hire a boat and explore it yourself. So if you're visiting Glasgow or Edinburgh and looking for scenic landscapes or outdoor adventures, then you might consider a day trip to Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park. The Isle of Arran. The Isle of Arran is a beautiful island set off the west coast of Scotland. Now what awaits you here are beautifully sandy beaches, rugged mountains, an abundance of outdoor activities for you and the family, ancient castles, relaxing spas. Arran's circular coastal road is around 56 miles, making it easy to explore the highlights of the island over a couple of days. But there's another thing that you should check out. Located just outside of Brodick is Brodick Castle and Gardens, a grand castle surrounded by mountains and teeming with history. So this here is the perfect day out. Glenfinnan. Scotland is a land of many different landscapes, with a great variety of nature, architecture and traditions to be seen. And one of the best ways to view this is by travelling by train. Glenfinnan attracts many thousands of visitors from around the world, just to experience the stunning scenery and also the special atmosphere. The famous viaduct carries the railway to Glenfinnan station across a 1,000-foot span, 100 feet above the ground. Now the steam train runs from here to Fort William and Mallaig in the summer months, with regular trains available for the rest of the year. And as you've guessed it, 2 of the Harry Potter books took place right here. Number 9. As one of the most iconic images of Scotland, Eilean Donan is recognised all around the world. Situated on an island at the point where 3 great sea lochs meet, and surrounded by some majestic scenery, it's little wonder that the castle is now one of the most visited and important attractions in the Scottish Highlands. So although it was first inhabited around the 6th century, the first fortified castle was built in the mid-13th century, and stood guard over the lands of Kintel. So when you do visit, you'll be amazed of how stunning it really is, and why people flock to this location year after year. It's even an icon, and you'll find it on shortbread tins. Now, what better way than to have a biscuit while admiring this wonderful castle? Number 10. The Isle of Skye. Known for its rugged landscapes, the medieval castles, picturesque fishing villages, of course its history and the outstanding scenery. Skye is one of those must-see places if you're planning a trip to Scotland in the new year. The scenery is outstanding with its dramatic coastlines and the stunning geological features. But as I mentioned, there are small interesting villages scattered about the island, such as Portree, which would be a great place to start. And on the edge of the isle lies Neast Point, one of the most famous lighthouses in Scotland, and can be found on the most westerly tip of Skye near the township of Glendale. So while the walk down is an easy one, the concrete path does get steep at times. Now this is the kind of place that leaves you breathless, and not just because you have to trek uphill. The craggy landscape looks like something from a magical realm. It's a great walk for hikers as it passes through some of the most spectacular landscapes in Scotland. As part of the Trotternish Ridge, it has been formed by a massive landslip, which has created high cliffs, hidden plateaus, and pinnacles of rock. Now the Curragh is situated in the north of Skye, and the walk is in a loop, returning you back to the same point. And it's on this list because there are even more places to see in this region. The Old Man of Storr. The Old Man of Storr is situated in the north of the Isle of Skye, famous for its magnificent scenery and its views. Now the Old Man of Storr is a large standing formation of rock, which is part of the Trotternish Ridge, created by a massive ancient landslide, like I mentioned for the Curragh, leaving one of the most photographed landscapes in the world. It's definitely changed beyond belief since my first visit as a kid. The path is still steep, the views are still stunning, and the sense of achievement on reaching the base of the Storr is still exhilarating. It takes roughly about an hour and 20 minutes without any stops, and the path going and coming back is still the same. Scotland's most scenic and most famous glen. Not a valley, like I said last time, it's a glen. And it's also one of the country's most dramatic. The deep valley and towering mountains of Glencoe are the most iconic scenery in the Highlands, and something which you could hardly miss if you tried. Carved out centuries ago by icy glaciers and volcanic explosions, driving through these giants is like an otherworldly experience. So given the changeable weather, multiple trips provide a kind of distinctive experience each and every time. But given the changeable weather, multiple trips will provide you with a distinct experience each and every time. So if you really love the outdoors and mountaineering, this is the perfect area in Scotland for you to give it a go. This is the perfect area for you in Scotland. Number 14. Dunnottar Castle. Stonehaven is located south of the city, along the Aberdeenshire coast. An ideal spot for families, couples, or anyone. But The town has one of the region's most notable visitor attractions, Donator Castle. When it comes to castles, Aberdeenshire is the place to visit. With over 260 castles, stately homes and ruins, it's known as Scotland's castle country. An iconic ruin, once an impregnable fortress, owned by one of the most powerful families, is perched on a headland with dramatic sheer cliffs on all sides. In 900 AD, a Viking raid killed the king, a raid in which the castle was destroyed. But after it was rebuilt, the castle was fought over for hundreds of years. Now for number 15, we're going to hit a stunning location. Now while Scotland has more picture-perfect stretches of sand than you can count, Luskentyre Beach on the west coast of South Harris in the Outer Hebrides has frequently been named as one of the best beaches in the world. And it's easy to see why. Striking white sands, turquoise waters, as if it belonged in the Caribbean. So forget Spain this year and head to Luskentyre Beach. Number 16, Edinburgh. Now this city has an abundance of history, top quality attractions and very beautiful architecture. Edinburgh is the location that you won't forget in a hurry. You can explore the medieval Old Town and the elegant Georgian New Town, which sit side by side. So the city is famous for two other attractions, the Royal Mile, which is at the heart of Edinburgh's Old Town. And then you have Edinburgh Castle, right at its head. Its name comes from its tradition as a route for kings and queens for the last 500 years. So with many places to visit in Edinburgh, you'll be spoiled for choice whether you're there for a weekend or a week. Ben Nevis and Fort William. Standing at over 1,344 meters, Ben Nevis is the highest peak in the United Kingdom and is the mountain that all visiting climbers want to conquer. Now many base themselves at the nearby town Fort William to give them a few days to explore the imposing peak and its tranquil neighbour, Glen Nevis. So if you're considering tackling the climb, just make sure you go fully prepared. Now although this castle isn't perfectly intact, Kilchoon Castle still packs a very photogenic punch. The ancient ruined building sits majestically on a rocky peninsula at the northeastern tip of Loch Orr in the Argyll and Bute region. So it was built in the mid-1400s as the base of the mighty Campbells of Glenorchy for 150 years, and it wasn't abandoned until the 1700s. But today, it sits perfectly framed by its truly stunning surroundings. And yes, it is very well worth the visit, especially if you're touring around the beautiful Highlands. You can get a train actually from Glasgow all the way to Loch Orr, so don't worry if you're not travelling there by car. Wallace Monument. Now, this may not be on every Scots list, but I still think it's an outstanding landmark and one of Stirling's most striking visits. It commemorates the life of Sir William Wallace, the patriot and martyr who came to be saluted as Scotland's national hero. Now, inside the monument, you'll find yourself transported back to the 13th century as you discover the story of the warrior who led the Scottish army to victory at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. So, point to note, there is a shuttle bus that you can take up the hill if you don't fancy the walk, seeing as there are over 200 steps broken up by exhibition floors. But I have to tell you, the views are stunning. Number 20. Urquhart Castle. Now, if you're heading towards Inverness, Urquhart Castle, a ruin that sits beside Loch Ness in the Highlands of Scotland, is one of Scotland's largest castles. Its ruins include a tower house with a fantastic view right over the Great Glen. Now, the castle dates back between the 13th and 16th century, and it played a significant role in the Wars of Scottish Independence. It then became a royal castle, raided several times by the MacDonald Earls of Ross. So the castle was abandoned in the 17th century, but now it sits as a ruin, but open to us visitors. So it's one of the most visited castles in Scotland, and it is an absolute stunning location to visit. Number 21. The Orkney Islands. The Orkneys are an island archipelago located off the northeastern shores of Scotland. Consisting of over 70 islands, it's a real fabulous destination, especially during the summer months. But Orkney's most famous landmark, the Old Man of Hoy, is an imposing 450-foot sea step on the island of Hoy, carved from layer upon layer of old red sandstone. But you also have the opportunity to check out the Neolithic sites, the largest island including Skara Brae, which is a preserved village with a reconstructed house. And there are miles of rocky coastline that are absolutely teeming with wildlife, home to puffin and sea colonies and giant seabirds. Next, we're taking a look at the Kelpies. In Falkirk, Scotland, along the picturesque banks of the Forth and Clyde Canal, stand the Kelpies. Now, these are striking steel sculptures that portray horse heads. Now, these colossal artworks reaching skyward symbolise the strength and essence of Scotland, drawing in visitors from all around the world. So I have to say, it is much better when you are there live and you can see how actually massive it really is. Number 23. Loch Carron. Located within the Highlands, particularly in the picturesque region of Westeros, Loch Carron highlights its natural beauty. So as you stand by its shores, you'll find yourself surrounded by gently rolling hills. The loch is extremely tranquil, and this is the type of holiday where you get to see one of Scotland's most scenic corners. So this destination is perfect for those of you who love nature and want to be just surrounded by a quiet escape. Number 24. Stirling Castle. Perched high on Castle Hill, in central Scotland, stands the majestic Stirling Castle. This historic fortress surrounded by hills echoes with tales of Scottish royalty. Its regal towers and battlements not only offer breathtaking views, but also invite you to step back in time and immerse yourself in Scotland's rich history. You know, infamous deeds took place here, like murders of the Earls, but it was also a childhood home of some of the most famous people in Scottish and British history. So for me, Stirling is well worth a visit. It rates alongside Edinburgh Castle. There's a lot to be discovered in the castle, but one of the highlights is the Great Hall. And finally, number 25, Perth. A city that was once the capital of Scotland. Located on the banks of the River Tay. A visit to this city and you'll be able to experience it all. Whether you choose to crawl the countryside or enjoy the buzzing atmosphere in the city alone, there's still beautiful hills, mountain ranges, and it's quite a beautiful city. It's also home to many fascinating historical events. For example, it was the first capital of Scotland before Edinburgh. Before Edinburgh became the nation's lead city in 1437. So this destination is just something different and something new to try on your next holiday to Scotland.
And that's 25 to complete the video. If you do like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all on the next one.